Snapcaster Mage decks as well, Deathrite Shaman decks, what have you. It seems like it's good against pretty much everyone but the mirror, and in the mirror, it cycles. So that's cool. Goldstein going to play a Flooded Strand to get things underway here as he is on a mulligan to 4. Duke with the Flooded Strand of his own before passing the turn back. Danny will take a draw here. And he's got a Brainstorm in his hand. Looks like a True Name Nemesis. He's going to sacrifice the Flooded Strand and go down to 19. And we have our first blood of our Legacy Open here in Worcester.
It's going to be really hard for Danny to come back from this mulligan. I already think this matchup's pretty tough for Blue-White-Red Delver to begin with.
That's how I feel as well.
It's the slowest, most grindy, really, of the Delver decks. But that's not the kind of game plan you want to be playing against Blue-White-Red Miracles.
Here's a Ponder. This will try to help smooth some things out. So, a couple cards we'll look at. A Brainstorm, a Lightning Bolt, and I believe a Wasteland is what Goldstein is looking at.
The rug list is just more faster and more disruptive. The bug shells have access to Abrupt Decay, so you have a really good game against Counterbalance. Blue-White-Red has neither of these tools, and so I think it's the worst of the Delver options for this particular matchup.
You know, the Delver draw is difficult to actually get to work against them. Just into the Delver Temple draw, because Miracles does have Terminus and Swords, and you know, Reid has one main deck Red Elemental Blast and some other blasts in the sideboard. And of course, if you go long, well, that's exactly where Miracles wants to be. You saw Goldstein pick up a Polluted Delta as his mystery card. Duke going to play a Sensei's Divining Top. One could argue the most powerful card in the deck.
It makes every other card in the deck so much better. I don't think there's an argument. This is a Force of Will worthy spell out of this deck.
Polluted Delta will be sacrificed to go find a volcanic island. And Goldstein will shuffle up and present here in just a moment. As it looks like Sensei Divine Top is still on the stack. It's not quite ready to resolve yet. So maybe a Brainstorm in response here? Yep, we're going to go digging. And I 100% agree with you. This is a Force of Will worthy card.
And if Danny's brainstorming right now, that means he's probably on the hunt for Force of Will.
Yep. 2 cards are going to go back here. And it's going to resolve. So Goldstein will draw a card that he already knows is coming, which is the Volcanic Island. He will play Volcanic Island, and it's an attempt at a True Name Nemesis. See how much Duke does care about that spell. Again, he does have 4 copies of Terminus in his deck.
But he has to have one now. If you're on a 4-card hand, you would want True Name Nemesis to be involved because it gives you the best shot of stealing something.
Yep.
Maybe 7 cards versus 7 cards. This is not the best threat in the matchup, but there is some slim hope that Reid just has a hand of Source of Plowshares and Jaces and so forth, and True Name Nemesis may be able to get the job done.
And there are cards that Duke does have access to get this off of the table if it does resolve those 4 Terminus that I mentioned. Also, the brand new Council's Judgment as well can take care of this, and if you'd like to counter it now, it will take one of his 4 Force of Wills along with the blue card.
He has a lot of time, a lot of looks at cards to find an answer to this, but it does give Danny a glimmer of hope if this resolves.
Looks like Duke is looking at Jace the Mind Sculptor, among other things. So he will place these cards back on top. And True Nemesis will resolve. So Duke will draw a card. It's not a Terminus. This is an island. And I'm going to see, oh, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Reid has a bit of a prediction, Mr. Goldstein.
And he already knows what the top card is.
Yep.
This is just perfect deck building.
Yeah, that's hardly fair. Good old predict, the uncommon promise. Yeah, I do know that it's Jace. It's also pretty telling when he can predict a Jace and just say, I don't need this.
Well, part of the problem is there's 2 things going on. One is Reid already has Jace in his hand. And second, Jason's not very good in the face of True Name Nemesis. But it does clear off some cards Reid's not in the market for. Draws 2. Another more looks at things with the Divining Top.
Yeah, clear it off.
Oh.
It's just a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
A Ponder, not nearly as awesome as Predict.
Yeah.
Here from Danny.
Although very good in tandem with Predict.
You make a good point.
Because you know, along with Brainstorm, Delver Secrets, Goblin Guide, Submerge.
Submerge.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
The blue-red Predict beatdown deck is just I'm gonna play it when I get a chance to play in a Legacy Open again.
In 2037.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
When I'm retired.
Yep. Here's an attack for 3. Duke gonna go down to 16. Goldstein gonna pass the turn back. It's time to spin that top again. 3 fresh cards
Yep.
for the Duke.
Ugh. But still my heart. Predict a bunning top. It looks like Reid's found counterbalance to the other piece of the lock. Maybe about to get set up here.
That's a good card. We're digging in now. Reid's got his 1-2 punch, and now he's just looking for an answer to that true name nemesis. And he's got some time. Life total pretty high there at 16.
So Danny with Daze and Force of Will, contemplating whether or not he wants to use it here. It looks like the answer is no.
Danny quickly draws, serves in for 3. Duke gonna go down to 13. We could say Reid's at like a virtual 12 right now because of that flooded strand.
I think it's correct for Danny to not fight in that spot because he's so unlikely to win this game, even if counterbalance is stopped there, because Reid just needs to find an answer to True Name Nemesis and then it's all over. This way, at least Danny can fight the fight over Terminus, let's say, and hope that True Name Nemesis can steal the game.
Duke gonna play a Tundra. Use that Tundra. And looks like it's time to cast a Brainstorm. So that will resolve. Duke will draw 3 cards. You have to imagine part of the reason he's doing this is to put one of those copies of Terminus back. He also seen Entreat the Angels in his hand.
He's got a really good setup here.
For a 2-headed giant. 15 minutes remaining to sign up for a 2-headed giant.
So 2 cards will go back. You have to imagine they will be miracles.
Another nice element of the main deck Relic of Progenitus in this deck is, innocently enough, it's another way to draw a card at instant speed, which this deck is always in the market for, to miracle cards on the opponent's turn.
It's a rather cute interaction. In for 3 we go. Duke says, I'll go to 10. A lot of patience here. Not much of a rush at all, is Reid. See a Ponder, a Force of Will, a Daze, a Stoneforged Mystic here in Goldstein's hand. He's got to play some Magic on this mulligan to 4. Does he want to commit anything else to the board? Looks like the answer is no, and Duke will spin the top. So, a couple of cards here, and we'll reorganize. Entreat the Angels looks like it's going to go to the very far bottom.
I would assume at this point that True Name Nemesis has become Terminus worthy.
It's become annoying enough, I think. It's gotten enough shots. I think that Reid is just using his life total as a resource at this point. Also, because he doesn't have to fear, lightning bolts ending the game because he has topless counterbalance. So, Relic will be used. Reid will draw a card. And now, Terminus. So let's have a battle, shall we?
And if Danny wasn't willing to force the will counterbalance, you had to imagine this is the fight that he wants to have.
Yep. And the question now is, does Reid have a counterspell? Who will win the war over this Terminus? It looks like Danny's going to win this one relatively easily, and Reid without much of a fight.
Not even bothering to spin his top. I mean, he's not even trying to fight that fight at all.
This is a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Huh. Well, he's certainly up to something. Looks like we have a hard cast Daze.
I like this play. The fetch land in play, allowing Reid to shuffle, is really valuable with the Divining Top in play. Also, this knocks from Reid from 10 to 9, meaning that True Name Nemesis has now become a 3-turn clock instead of a 4-turn clock. And what else is Danny going to do with that Daze anyway?
It's not getting much better.
Not getting much better.
You have to imagine Reid did put the counterbalance trigger on the stack. Now, don't forget, Reid knew the top card of his deck there wasn't Entreat the Angels, so revealing that the counterbalance is not going to help on the Daze. My assumption is that he does have the counterbalance trigger on the stack to attempt to counter the Daze. So there is the counterbalance. This is a Sensei's Divine Top. That will not get the job done. And now will Duke pay? The answer is yes, he will. So Daze is taken care of. And now it's probably time to go brainstorming. Or we're going to go Fate Sealing and put the top down to the bottom.
He doesn't want to just lose the Jace to one hit from True Name Nemesis. Also, that one provides him no help because he already has Divine Top plus Counterbalance in play. So trying to get a couple fresh looks at some new cards.
Delver of Secrets the draw here for Goldstein, along with Stoneforge Mystic and a Polluted Delta in the hand. Going to start with the attack here with True Name. Keep going towards the Duke. Down to 6 goes Reid. There's the Delta. Danny will not sacrifice that just yet. Delver of Secrets, maybe to start things up.
I like opening here with the Stoneforge Mystic, I think. Never mind.
Wrong. Wrong.
Incorrect. You can see what, the hope there. If Danny was willing to commit the Delver of Secrets anyway, it's probably better to open with leading with the Delver of Secrets. That probably commits the Divining Top, and then you know for sure your Stoneforge resolves.
Let's go brainstorming, shall we? Duke has found another Entreat the Angels that he saw earlier in the game. What he has not found yet, however, is a Terminus or a Council's Judgment to get that True Name Nemesis off the table.
This is, what I mentioned about 4-card hands here. I don't think this is the best card in the matchup by any stretch of the imagination on Danny's side, but Reid here with Jace the Mind Sculptor, multiple Swords of Plowshares in his hand, and Treat the Angels just can't quite find answer just yet for True Name Nemesis.
Things will get interesting in a moment here, however, if you Reid. He did place Entreat the Angels back on top of his deck. I'll be interested to see his play this turn. He's at 6. And he says upkeep. Yeah, and this is what I thought he was going to do. He was going to say upkeep. I'm going to draw a card. It's Entreat the Angels. I'll make 4 Angels, maybe. Only 2. And then your Lightning Bolt can't actually come off the top to kill me because I have 1 on top of my deck.
Yeah.
So I'm good to go.
He also has the ability to plow his own Angel token now.
That's the big one, too.
The race has really swung.
I wasn't sure if he was going to make 2 or 4 tokens. Because he wanted at least some mana available. Maybe he has one of his 2 counter spells in his hand. Draws a copy of top for the turn. We'll deploy a top. So can he close things out now is the question. He will start by brainstorming with Jace. And now he's found Terminus. Took a little while. One thing that's also unique about Duke's build of Miracles, if you're looking for creatures in the main deck, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
0.
Lisette, a big fan of Vendilion Click. Snapcaster Mage even has a Venser most of the time.
BBD likes the Stoneforge Mystic package.
But for Reid, the only creatures he needs are Entreat the Angel tokens. Goldstein gonna go down to 9. Here's your attack. That's a Swords. On my own Angel.
Danny has drawn a bolt, trying to figure out if there's some way to get Reid to slip up with that top or something, but I don't think Reid is gonna allow him to bolt him out of this game.
Duke is gonna go up to 7. True Name will put him down to 4. Now it's time to spin the top yet again. In this situation, that's the only card that Duke cares about now is Bolt.
Yeah.
Lightning Bolt, the True Name Nemesis that's on the table. Most of the stuff he is covered beyond those.
He still needs to win a counter war over the Terminus as well.
Yeah.
So Force of Will, cards along those lines still matter, but there are a lot of draws that Danny has in his deck that do not matter anymore.
Arid Mesa in for 4. Goldstein's going to go down to 5. There is a Relic of Progenitus. Pass the turn back. Will Goldstein fire off this bolt now is the question.
It does potentially cause Reid to not be able to miracle something. If the top goes on top of the deck, then the relic draws a top and not whatever miracle Reid has hypothetically set up. Danny's shown very good awareness. I mean, he's mulligan to 4. Things are going pretty rough, but he's giving himself the best shot to win this game.
That's all you can hope for. Reid going down to 1 is a little bit scary, but he's going to draw a card here. Top will stay on top. Here comes True Name. Duke's down to 1 again. Goldstein drew another bull. Interesting. Gonna cash this in. Draw that card.
This is a window for Danny to try to bolt, I believe.
Yeah.
The top card of the deck is unknown.
Counterbalance trigger. Oh, it's known now. Yeah, it's a brainstorm. And Danny knows that's going to get countered.
Again, though, Danny is making quite a fight out of this,
Yep.
given the circumstances.
There's the top. Draw the top now. Will do. It's 1 to 5. See if he wants to brainstorm or fate seal here. Looks like he's going to go fate sealing. Knowing that he can control Danny's draw this turn, he attacks with the angel, puts Goldstein down to 1. And then keeping that card up top, we're not going to see I'll sacrifice a fetch land and see a mystery card.
I was about to say I wasn't a big fan of using the fate sealing there with Danny with a fetch line in play, but with this attack knocking Danny down to 1 makes a lot of sense.
Pass it over. Duke knows what he's drawing. Reid says, I'm going to swords this. I'm going to go to 5. I think he's also going to draw a card here. Maybe with Terminus now. We'll see. And he knows that top card. In for 3 we go. Spin the top. And it's about that time.
It's a miracle. No, it is not.
Yeah. And Reid actually left Goldstein with a Spell Pierce, which he can conveniently pay for. Now Reid will reorganize the deck. He's really going to get moving now. And now Jace is going to start to tick up. And this is Reid's real win condition.
Yeah.
Is Jace the Mind Sculptor. 4 of them in his Miracles deck. Goldstein will draw a card. And it looks like it's one of the harder locks at this point. And we don't see Reid play this quick often, but you can tell he knows he's in the driver's seat now, and he wants to get this game over with as tick-tock does go the clock.
And he's just got to be mindful, as you mentioned, of the clock. This is a deck that takes a long time to win if you're, not as fast as possible. You can end up getting draws in situations that would otherwise be wins.
Jace is up to 13 now. 1 more turn into a little ultimate action. Duke's going to leave that card on top of the deck, and Danny Goldstein says, that's good enough for me. Reid Duke is going to win game number 1 here over Danny Goldstein, an expertly played game by the Miracles player.
Although Danny made quite a push there, given that he was on a 4-card mulligan.
Much more competitive than I expected to be, given a 4-card hand.
And he definitely knew the ins and outs of Reid's deck, too.
Yeah.
The timing of his spells, he showed a lot of knowledge of how to approach the matchup that game. There's just only so much you can do with a 4-card hand.
Let's take a look at our sideboard, shall we? Danny Goldstein begins.
A Wear Tear, I'm Enrique Gasari, 2 Pyroblast, a Spell Pierce, a Grim Lavamancer, 2 copies of Meddling Mage, a Force of Will, a Vendilion Click, 2 Flush of Storm, 2 Rest in Peace, Sword of Feast and Famine. I like Sword of Feast and Famine a lot in this matchup. I like Vendilion Click. I actually like Meddling Mages a bit in this matchup, and Pyroblast as well. So a lot of cards to bring in.
Duke's got a lot of 1s and 2s. A Graph Trigger's Cage, a Red Elemental Blast, 2 Pyroblast, a Pyroclasm, a Supreme Verdict, a Spell Pierce, a Swan Song, and Entreat the Angels, 2 Blood Moon, 2 Vendilion Click, a Mountain, and your favorite, Old Baneslayer.
Ugh, the doom of me. I think Baneslayer is reasonable to bring in this matchup. Game's gonna go on for a long time. Danny probably doesn't have Swords of Plowshares in his deck post-board. Baneslayer is, it's bigger and better than anything that Danny has access to.
It'll certainly take you by surprise.
Yeah, certainly.
I'd like to think.
As far as the rest of it goes, I think Supreme Verdict is reasonable to bring in against most Delver strategies. The Red Blasts here and the Pyroblasts are fine. I think Pyroclasm is also fine. There's some acceptable upgrades. nothing too significant going on here, though. 2 copies of Blood Moon could be a haymaker for Reid in this matchup, though.
I think we need to institute a rule right now. As Reid is sideboarding, you're not allowed to board out the predict.
No.
It has to stay, always, because it's too awesome to board out.
It is too awesome.
Yeah. I'm a big predict fan, and if he even considers taking that out, I won't be a Reid Duke fan anymore.
Yeah, that seems like a good candidate for Blood Moon, this matchup.
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup here for Blood Moon.
Danny can't play the game while it's in play, so I guess that's when you would want the card.
You think that would be good then?
That's probably good in that spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you. We'll take a look at SCG Game Night here very quickly, as we do begin that in September every Wednesday.
Yep. 2 pins and 8 foil tokens. We'll send out as prize kits each week with new pins and foils each month, every Wednesday night. Stores, TOs, you have the discretion to run these events however you want to, sanctioned, unsanctioned, whatever format. This is all about just getting players in the store, a little more grassroots, casual focus, organized play. StarCityGames.com/game night. That'll have all the information you need to get this set up, see what this is all about. But pretty simple, straightforward program. Pins and foils for players participating in your local events. You can sign up right now, StarCityGames.com/game night. Sign up. Trying to get a push to get as many stores accounted for as soon as possible. We start rolling this out in September, and again, new prize kits will be coming out every month.
It is now worldwide as well, so anybody can have it if they'd like. Any questions that you do have, game night at StarCityGames.com for any emails and inquiries. And we're excited about it. We hope you guys are too.
Yeah, a lot of what got me into Magic to begin with was having sweet stuff going on at the local level. And it's important for the step one of getting players involved in organized play. Pre-releases are great for this as well. You see people show up to these events that don't show up to anything else. And Star City Games organized play is very competitive focused, and the content on the website is, and all that kind of stuff, which is great. We love it, but we also want to make sure that we're accommodating every portion of the player base. So we want to make sure we're providing things for stores to get people into the store for the first time.
Hobbytown USA, Strongsville, Ohio on Pearl Road. That was the first store, man. $5 every Tuesday.
The first legitimate store was the only game in town, which I eventually ended up working at for several years. Prior to that, we had some less than reputable stores.
Ah, yes.
I wish not to name.
The Jersey.
The Jersey.
I remember the days of getting destroyed by Curse Scroll and Fire Blast by Eric Chima.
Aha. You're a kid still.
I was a kid.
What a kid.
I don't remember what I was doing, but it was not a lot of winning.
Eugene Harvey was busy nether voiding and sinkholing me over and over again.
That is horrible. You call that man a friend?
It would blow my mind to go back and watch tapes of games I played back in the day when I was 15, 16 years old. These are some of the happiest moments of my life, and almost all of them were stuck with me having no lands in play or my opponent having no lands in play.
Yep. This is the best.
I couldn't be happier just strip mining my opponent, getting strip mined, activating my Mistress Factory, having that get plowed, bolting my opponent's Mistress Factory.
Back in the day, I loved casting Avalanche Riders, Tectonic Break, and I believe it was a Seismic Mage?
Yawgmoth's Will, get back my land, use it to raise you for the
there you go.
second.
I was a big Raise fan. I believe Seismic Mage was the spell shaper that you discarded.
Stone Rain.
Yeah, yep. Stone Rain them.
Stone Rain Man. He was in the sideboard for matches where they couldn't kill creatures.
Nice.
They often couldn't
kill. You know what that is?
Good deck building.
That's right.
They often couldn't kill creatures. Do you know why? Didn't have any lands in play.
Yep.
Needed mana to cast spells.
You can kill with anything then.
You can actually attack them 20 times with the Seismic Mage. If they ever play a land, you just blow it
Boom.
up.
Get busy attacking. Oh, a land, huh?
These were some of the happiest days of my entire life. I do not believe I can suffer them now, but that's how sweet Magic is.
I generally like land destruction. I do.
Even as a one-player game, Magic is really fun.
It really
That's
is.
how awesome
It really
Magic is.
Looks like Danny took at least one mulligan here. He's having some real issues keeping 7-carders. He's going to keep this 6-card hand. He's going to play a Tundra, and we begin again. An island here for Duke. No Sensei's Divining Top just yet.
Danny has drawn the sideboarded Sword of Feast and Famine, a much better piece of equipment against control decks than anything else he can really offer game one.
Here's a Brainstorm. Gataxian Probe and Friends have been drawn.
Batterskull too slow, Umezawa Jitte too low impact. Feast and Famine, neither of those things.
It always does entertain me that Feast and Famine is the card that is brought in against the blue-white-red deck.
Yeah, that is an entertaining feature.
I'll show you.
But it shows you how much juice these swords have.
Oh.
Where it doesn't even about the pro color, just the text boxes are good enough.
Last week, Andrew Schrott and I talked about what the... so there are swords that have not been made yet, like blue and black, and some others. So we actually had a fun discussion about what those swords could look like.
All the enemy pairings have been made, right?
Yeah.
All the enemy color pairings.
Mm-hmm. It's the allied ones. It's a Gataxian Provision cast. 2 swords, a Terminus, a Scalding Tarn, a Flooded Strand, a Tundra, and a Sensei's Divining Top. So Reid, making the decision not to play the top on turn number 1, did not want to get it dazed. He can't play around Spell Pierce very well, but we'll see if he does deploy it on turn 2.
No, actually, the 5 swords that have been made, all the pro color pairings are the allies of a single color. So Sword of Feast and Famine shares red as the ally. Green and black share red as their ally.
Okay, sure.
Body of Mind share white. Green and blue share white.
Okay, that makes sense.
So those are the swords that have been made.
I'm just saying that design space is wide open.
There is room for at least 5 more swords.
2-headed drawing players are seeding
Cons of Tarkir, perhaps.
4 of the 5 of them are high tier 1 in all of Magic's formats.
What are you trying to say?
Actually, only 3, I would say.
Which
Even
one?
Light and Shadow still shows up.
Light Shadow's fine. Which one's the bad one? Body of Mine?
Body of Mind. Because milling your opponent for 10 and constructed often means you die because you did that.
Can't forget about that wolf.
Oh, yeah, you get a little buddy too. There's also an issue of synergy, you know? Like getting a wolf and milling your opponent for 10, what are the odds that these 2 things matter in the same game? It's pretty low.
Yeah.
It's usually one thing or the other matters.
Sensei's Defiant Top will resolve now here for Duke. Let's see what Danny's going to play this turn. It's the Meddling Mage.
I like this out of the board. There's a lot of spots where Danny is really concerned about either Terminus or Entreat the Angels. And worst case scenario, you can just name Source of Plowshares with it too. So this is a good sideboard card.
Source of Plowshares is the choice. We have seen this card name before Terminus. I think of Michael Majors in the finals of the Legacy Open at the end of Season 1 in Charlotte, naming that against Philip Braverman to quite a bit of success in that matchup. So,
Meddling Mage is a card that's historically been underplayed in Legacy, in my opinion. The blue-white red Delver Shell is about ideal for it, but the games can be over so fast, and there's so many matchups where your opponent only has one relevant piece of interaction, one thing you're playing around.
I do find it to be a touch underplayed.
Yeah, and it's hard for the card to be bad. That's the other critical thing. There's some matchups, you know, where your opponent's redundant enough or they're playing to the board enough where Meddling Mage is not very effective because a 2/2 body is not worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the text box is good against most decks in Legacy.
Oh, Reid giving this topspin a lengthy thought before moving forward.
With the ability to shuffle the deck off of fetch lands, it's not just about what these 3 cards are. It's about what are the permutations of the next X turns.
Mm-hmm.
So none of these are simple.
I think what might be weighing in on his decision is the fact that one of the cards he's looking at is a Blood Moon, and he wants to get him. Take a draw will do. Copy of Pyroblast added to the hand. There's a Flooded Strand. This is a counterbalance. So looking to establish the lock early, and that will resolve. Time to check with the Delver of Secrets. That's a Spell Pierce. So that'll work just fine. Inset Deliberation is here. Spell Pierce added to the hand. You can also see Goldstein play a Flooded Strand. He has got that sword and a Ponder. And in we come for 5. Duke gonna go down to 14. There's a sword. Does Duke have a 3?
Well, there is a Blood Moon in the top 3. We don't know right now if it's set on top.
Yeah, it looks like it is not. So, sword's going to resolve. Goldstein going to sacrifice that Flooded Strand. Go down a little bit lower to 16. Get a Volcanic Island. And I imagine he's going to cast the Ponder here to maybe break things up a little bit.
It forces Reid to at least spend a mana redeploying the top.
Mm-hmm.
It may allow Danny to do something with Spell Pierce.
Reid going to draw a card very quickly and reveal top to counterbalance.
Now I'm curious to see what Reid wants to do here, because the Blood Moon, the way the board is shaped up, is now not that good. Danny has the tools to win in play. If Reid's able to answer the creatures in play, suddenly Blood Moon becomes very good. And it looks like Reid is not taking the Blood Moon. He's getting away from that plan for the time being, which makes a lot of sense to me, because Danny's board is so powerful right now. Reid needs to focus on answering that. Maybe somewhere down the line he can get Blood Moon set up and lock him out, but for now, he's got to address what's happening in front of him.
Maybe a Jace? Supreme Verdict.
That's a pretty good way to do it.
That's not bad. That'll get things reset. Goldstein gonna draw a card here. He needs a creature right now. I think he found one. Yes, he did. Vendilion Click is what he drew. That was actually a pretty nice draw there. The question, of course, is do I play it now or do I wait? He's gonna wait. Duke will draw. It's a brainstorm he's found. He'll start by playing a top.
It's like Danny is now contemplating his response. Looks like he's just going to let that go.
And not even going to cast him Vendilion Click yet. Going to try to pick a better spot. Lightning Bolt the draw here for Goldstein. Not a very good draw. As Duke is going to spin the top now, looking at a counterbalance among other things. But also a brainstorm and a land there. So as we work our way into the mid game here, Reid is exactly where he wants to be. No creatures on the table for the opponent and a high life total.
And now that he's found a Flooded Strand, he can go get Volcanic Island. Now the Pyroblast in his hand is turned on. So he's got a lot of protection against Vendilion Click or a lot of other things that Danny can muster at this point.
We'll see with another bolt added to the grip. You see the delta there as well. This kind of game does not favor Danny.
Yeah, he had a one-turn window to maybe try to stick the Vendilion Click, but that window is now closed.
Yeah, the problem too there is, it would have resolved, I believe. I think the big issue is that Reid is looking at two Swords of Plowshares. So even though it would have resolved, it would have ended up dying.
Oh yeah, it's not even a relevant thing.
Stoneforge? I don't think so. Counterbalance says no, sir. There's a polluted delta. You can see Goldstein's hand there. The Vendilion Click we talked about, 2 Lightning Bolts and a Spell Pierce. As Reid does spin the top, he will sacrifice Scalding Tarn. Go down to 12 to do so. It looks like he'd like a fresh look.
But he has a firm lock on this.
Gonna go get the basic mountain.
I'm really hoping for Baneslayer Angel to play mop-up duty here.
Your favorite.
A good start to the day.
Yeah. Reid quickly puts those 3 cards back. Must have found something he liked. Goldstein will untap those 2 lands. See if he can find anything to do. There's a copy of Wasteland. That one's not so good right now, even though it will take down the Tundra.
It's better than most of his draw steps.
That's true.
It actually has text, which makes it better than most things he can draw at this point.
How about a Vendilion Click? See if Danny's going to try to resolve one of his own now. Is it time to finally pick this battle? Looks like it is. There's a 3. Oh, no, he's too good. He's too good. Reid's too good.
Doesn't even need to spin the top. No. Not even a requirement.
Lightning Bolt.
I'm sure somehow that click on top of this deck is going to transform into a one-mana card.
Tapping of the top here. That'll be on the stack. Danny's going to sacrifice the polluted delta, go get a Volcanic Island, and try to Lightning Bolt the click again. Here's the thing. We're having this battle over Vendilion Click. If Reid loses this battle, that's cool. You know? It doesn't, if Reid losing this battle doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's like, okay, I'm exhausting your resources to take care of a 3-1 that I don't need to win the game with.
Yeah, we already know there's another click on top of his deck. So.
And there's also, 4 copies of Jason and Treat the Angels.
The thing is, I don't even think Reid's going to let him have this. I think he's just going to set a 1 on top, and then the top's going to resolve, and there's going to be another 1 on top.
There's Pyroblast. That's going to counter the Bolt. Now Pyroblast go to the grip. Top will come on top. That'll counter the other Bolt. Now Vendilion Click's in. Spell Pierce is the last card. You have to imagine Reid will let him keep that.
That's the Pyroblast that Reid Duke had me sign. That's kind of flattering.
Oh, nice.
My
You devalued a card. Congratulations.
My trademark scribbling.
Yep. Doesn't even look like anything. Attack for 3.
But it can be replicated.
Is that a good thing? It can't
certifiable.
or can?
It can. I can do that over and over again.
Oh, well, so I can do that with mine as well. Basically, you're not special.
But you have the signature of a child.
What's that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying.
I like my signature, thank you.
No, it's distinct. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Top will counter the Ponder. And Reid drew the Haymaker this turn.
I mean, it's so unnecessary at this point. It's nice. I'm not saying it's not nice.
There's the top. Blood Moon, the card added to Reid's hand. Not sure if he needs to cast it this turn or not. As you mentioned, it's nice, it may not be necessary. Gonna sacrifice the old Flood Strand. There's a basic Plains.
The only question really, if he taps out here, does he care if Danny draws and casts Batterskull? That's the only thing he really opens himself up to that could go wrong here.
Oh, you think Reid doesn't have a 5 on top of his deck?
Yeah.
Is that what you
Probably
think?
Baneslayer on top.
Yeah. There's a Spell Pierce. I will draw a card since he's Divine top. Not only are you counterbalance locked, but all your lands tap for red mana.
Yeah.
There's Naird Mesa. And Danny said, you know what? That's good enough for me. Reid Duke is going to win this match over Danny Goldstein. 2-0. Blue, white, red Miracles dominant over blue, red Delver.
Yeah, Reid got him in the sharpshooter early there. And
Yeah,
it's just a matter of time. Danny, unfortunately, with some mulligans, that clearly was not helping him. But I've seen this matchup play out a lot of times, and I do not like it from the blue, white, red Delver side.
I hate it from their side.
I think other builds of Delver have acceptable, potentially even positive matchups against Counterbalance. I think Bug Delver with Abrupt Decay and some soft counter spells, a good clock, has a totally fine matchup against blue, white, red Miracles. But the blue, white, red Delver build, there's just not enough pressure. It's trying to play too slow of a game with not enough disruption, and you saw what happened there. Reid got the lock set up early and often. Danny without enough pressure to finish the game quickly, and certainly not enough staying power to go long in the face of Counterbalance and Divining Top.